Now that I've got this first truss done, we could make a below deck truss for this. We don't have to. If we are really wanting to do that, like I have one over here that has this substructure underneath it. If you're going to put a substructure in, it might be a good idea to put it in before you start doing all of your offsets, like I showed you in a previous video. But you don't have to. You could potentially draw them after the fact in another sketch. But what I'm going to use this sketch for now is I am going to take these little gaps down here, and I'm going to use those to start to make a bridge deck that's going to be needed to be able to test this bridge. All right, so to make a bridge deck, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on each one of these lines. Notice I'm not even in a sketch. All I have is this open, and I'm looking at it from the side, or from actually the front here. And so I'm just going to click on each one of these bottom pieces, and it's going to give me eventually the ability to hopefully copy and paste into a new document. So right now I've got those three, or those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 pieces selected. I'm going to hit Control C to try and copy those. And now I'm going to go up here to the Onshape, and I'm going to create a new document. And we're going to call this Bridge Deck. And I've done this a couple of times already, so I'm going to call this Bridge Deck 3. And now hopefully, if I do a sketch on the front, hit the letter N, normal to view, and hit Control V to paste, there says nothing there. All right. So I am going to do a new tab here. Bear with me here. I am going to open up this in a second tab. So now I've got my truss here and my deck here. So hopefully I can figure out why they're not letting me do what I want to do. Or if they'll just, oh, look at that. So I drew, see how I drew a box there? As long only the things completely inside this box will get selected, so I can do like that, and I'll just select those. Now, if I right click here, can I copy? Let's see what happens. Copy, right click, copy part 1. And can I paste sketch entities? I sure can, but it's telling me the clipboard is empty. Sometimes this doesn't do what I want it to do. So I might have to do this. I might have to go into my sketch and then select these parts. And I might need to then Control C those. And now I'll go back into here and Control V, and there we go. So that's what I had to do. This is your transform tool. All it's there for is you can use this to like move stuff around and place it wherever you want to place it. It doesn't necessarily matter where you place it. I'm just going to plop mine down kind of centered on there. Oh, it's not centered. That's closer. All right. And then you just hit the checkbox, and now it's going to put it in there. All right. So I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to actually get out of that sketch. I don't need to do anything in that one, so now I'm going to stay back over here. And now I'm going to use my offset tool. This is kind of a really nice tool to have. I'm going to click on the first one here, and now it is doing 0.25. We're going to make that 0.125 because that is going to be the thickness of our bridge deck as well. They're only going to let me do one at a time, so I'm just going to check the box. I'm going to click here, check the box, and then I'm going to keep going. Oops, please make sure you offset them both the same direction. And eventually, you'll get them all done. There's 12 on for mine. Yours will be probably different. I don't know why this is all of a sudden going up. Oh, don't do what I just did there. Okay, so I just goofed up a couple of things, so I gotta delete these offsets and do them again. Flip that around, make it 0.125. All right, check. Click, flip, check mark, flip, check mark. All right, so that one treated it like something new. All right, so there we go. So now I've got all of those done. Through lots of trial and error, I realized that we still have to do this next step, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to connect all of these. I'm not going to do the outside two, but I'm going to do all these inside ones, and I'm going to connect all of those with vertical lines. It's going to change each one of the. It's going to make each one of these little boxes turn gray, which is not the end of the world, but I'm going to want it to actually be one continuous part here in just a second. So once you get all of these, a lot of this is not difficult, it's just a lot of tedious little steps. Same things over and over again, it just takes time. If you had this thing perfect, you could potentially do a mirror command, but this is probably the easiest way because we can't guarantee that everything is exactly perfect. Alright, two more verticals here, and then last but not least, I actually want to connect all of these together in one rectangle. So now I'm going to switch to the corner rectangle tool, and this is why I didn't do these outside ones, because this is going to take care of that for me. So I'm going to start here in this top left corner, and I'm going to drag all the way to the opposite corner, a rectangle. And now it made that whole thing essentially turn gray, but it still has those dividers there. Alright, so I'm going to finish this sketch. I will come back and need this entire sketch again later, which is fine. It's still there, and it'll make my life a lot easier. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude. I'm going to tip this down a little bit by pushing on the... I did the arrow key and I pushed it. You can't really tell on here, but you can tell on the view cube that that has moved. So I used the arrow key and I pushed it down one time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm extruding. I'm going to make sure it says new. Actually, this depth is going to be... I believe we're doing 3 inches. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to click on every single rectangle on here. So it's going to extrude then. Now, some people are probably thinking to themselves, why didn't I just do a big long rectangle to start with? And I'll show you why in just a second. Because I'm selecting all of these and essentially just making a big rectangle. Now, I have this sketch here that I'm going to use at least 2 different times now. Well, 2 exactly, to get these tabs back into place. But this way I can get this to be one solid piece. So I selected all of them. I'm going to hit the checkbox, and now it's one solid, like you can tell right there. So it's one solid bridge deck. But we still have, if I click on sketch 1, I can still see that sketch there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to spin this around. And I'm going to sketch on that very same side. And I'm going to show this sketch. You know what? I don't really need to. I'm going to do another thing that we haven't used before. It's called, let me find it here, the use project. it's this kind of cube looking thing. So what I'm going to do is by doing that, I can, oh, it's not going to show me all of it. All right, so cancel that. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to sketch one. I'm going to right click on sketch one and I'm going to say copy sketch. And now I can go over here and I can right click and I can paste sketch entities. Now this is where I have this transform again. If I move it around a little bit, what I'm going to try and do is get it to be, I got to get this normal to view. That's going to help me out a little bit here. This is my view. My goal is to take this and get it perfectly placed on this side. I might have to do this again. I might have to transform it again to get, hopefully I'm not making an awful mess of that, but there we go. All right, so that is perfectly in place. So I'm going to finish my sketch. I'm going to tip this down a little bit again, and now when I go to extrude this, I'm just going to pick these tabs. Now this is more than I'm going to extrude them. I'm just going to get them selected first, so I make sure I've got them all selected. What this is doing is it's making this all one big solid object, which is exactly what I wanted to do. Instead of what was happening when another way, the first way I did this, it was making these show up as completely tabs that were not even attached. All right, so I extruded those 0.125 out from the side. Everything looks good. So I'm going to hit the checkbox. And now you'll be able to see that everything should be, oh, looks like they aren't perfect, but for what we need, they should be okay. I don't know what happened there and how they got shrunk, because these look like they're all perfect, but for some reason these ones are not. All right, I'm not too worried about that. If I needed to, I could probably just go up top here. And I could probably zoom in and just extrude those. Now, this is not doing what I... This looks terrible, right? We're not making a wall, right? But what we're going to do eventually is switch a function here for our extrusion. Hopefully you don't have to do this. Hopefully the other side... we're going to go not to, we're going to go up to face. So now it's going up to there. Although I think I just goofed something up. So face of extrude, hit the checkbox, and we'll see if it actually, yep, there it did it. So I didn't need to select anything. So now it just made it all look great again. All right, so now we're going to go back here and we're going to right click and we're going to copy this sketch again. And now we're going to spin this thing around so we can see the back side, and we're going to click on just that. We're going to do a sketch, N for normal to view, Control V to paste that sketch in, and ideally we want this, what we want to see, and I don't know why it's not doing it right now, but we want this to have a snap point. Like where this, you can kind of see how things kind of pop up. For some reason, it's not giving us the snap point where we want it. It'd be nice if this thing were back over here, so I'm going to move it back there. And now, oh, I'm going to put this right back on this corner, I think. Will they let me do that? Something's not jiving here. It's not doing what I want it to. Maybe I just do that. Alright, so now this is not where I want it to be, obviously. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reselect it. I'm going to select everything, and now I'm going to... Where's my... There it is. It's right there. It says transform. I'm going to do that. And now... Okay, this is what I wanted it to do originally, but it didn't. So now this corner is down here, so when I move this over here, watch this, it'll snap right to there. And that means that this corner here will be snapped right to there if I hit the checkbox. Now it actually is perfect. So now I can finish that sketch, and I can extrude one more time. And this is getting to be a bit of a long one, so if you got the other side done right, this should be pretty easy now to just select these, and hopefully everything is symmetrical so that these all end up lining up and being the same. And once again, these are going to be only 0.125 for our depth. So I hit enter after that, and now if I hit the checkbox, hopefully, there we go. So now we've got a bridge deck that has little notch outs in it that should correspond to the sides of our bridge, so that they can kind of fit together kind of like a puzzle.